guys, it's Madison with Higher Vibrations News, and today I'll be chatting with Dr. Sho Aoyagi, author of CPR for Relationships. Let's give Dr. Sho a call and learn more about conflict prevention and resolution. Hi, Sho. How are you?
Good, Madison. And you?
I'm doing all right. Nice to see you.
Okay. Good seeing you. It's great to see you.
Thank you. So you are the author of the book CPR for Relationships, Conflict Resolution and Prevention. So tell me what kind of led you in that direction of conflict resolution, and how did you take interest in the subject and things like that?
Wow, that's a great question. I guess as from my youth on up through my early adulthood, even into later years, I was very conflict avoidant, and I guess the way I dealt with conflict was just to either avoid it, appease people, or if it was someone close to me, like my mother or my girlfriend, I would use the scream as loud as you can technique.
Right.
And if you ever use that, of course, you know it never works.
That's
They,
right.
us- they usually scream back louder, and
Yeah.
it always.
And so you told me of these teachers. That kind of leads me into my next question. Like, were there any books, people, or teachers that contributed to your growth and gave you that insight to write the book? So,
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, besides my two teachers and mentors, and then the two attorney mediators out in Nebraska, uh, yeah, I read a number of books. I think Gandhi's writings have helped tremendously. You know, he was such an inspiration, and Martin Luther King also took on Gandhi's teachings and work.
right.
So I've read things from him. And if you ever watched the movie about Gandhi, uh, there's some great uh, scenes in there on how he dealt with conflict. I mean, there's one great scene where the British viceroy just thinks of Gandhi as just this brown little man in a
Right.
loincloth, totally disrespectful. And Gandhi by then has done all these uh, strikes, such as the Salt Strike, which has put British India into just a complete state of chaos. And the British viceroy has thrown Gandhi into prison, and yet Gandhi has no anger toward the British or this British viceroy. And one day, the British viceroy is so fed up with Gandhi, he tells the authorities, I want you to bring Gandhi to me now. So they pull him out of prison. and drive him to the British Viceroy's estate, this massive estate. And you see, Gandhi and his cloth walking up these grand stairs into the Viceroy's estate. And he walks into the Viceroy's office, and you see the Viceroy standing there with a stern look on his face. And Gandhi could have, he no one would have blamed him if he just started yelling at the viceroy, telling him, "This is India. This is our country.
Right.
Get the hell out of our country." But he
Right.
didn't. He treated the viceroy with complete respect. He just said, "Sir, you know, um, I understand where you're coming from, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from and the Indian people are coming from. And I hope we can come to some dialogue and some resolution where, we can both, win."
Right.
So he knew how to talk to people and not come from a place of verbal violence. And
True.
as a result, and Gandhi's, and this is really inspirational because Gandhi's journey from uh, uh, like the early 1900s to 1946, 1947, when the British finally left. It took 30 years for Gandhi to uh, get India back to into Indian hands.
Right.
So, and he just did it with treating the British with respect. And the British did. If you can do that, you'll be able to resolve conflicts from a sincere place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's kind of sometimes, it would be hard to argue with someone who is being respectful, even,
Right,
you know what I mean? So I think it is important. Communication is important, learning how to approach these situations. So that's awesome.
right, right. And that's a key thing because you have to have respect. And from respect, you'll develop trust. Because if you don't have trust, you can't create safety.
True.
And if you don't have safety, people will never open up to you. And if you can't have trust and safety, you can't have intimacy.
True.
And without intimacy, you don't have a relationship.
That's right.
So this is such a fundamental thing that people don't realize. People think, well, intimacy is you meet somebody, you have chemistry.
Right.
Why can't you come to our dates on time? I'm always left waiting at the restaurant for 15 or 20 minutes. And if you're a very sensitive person and you're feeling this attack, because that's what criticism feels like,
Yeah.
you're going to get defensive. And then, what people usually do is, like I said at the very, actually, as I write in my book, you get defensive, you start attacking back. Well, remember last week you showed up, 10 minutes late to dinner,
Right.
and or you just appease the person. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, because they're really afraid of conflict. They try to quell the situation, or they just eat it and just
Yeah.
pretend everything's okay and just say, all right, I'm sorry, I'll do better next time, and try to just, push it under the carpet. But it lingers. And
Yeah.
for, say on my end, if I'm being criticized over time, because it's over time when all these attacks and all these criticisms, all these judgments build up, one day I'm going to pop,
Right.
and you don't want to be on the other end when
Yeah.
I pop. And so it's vital that we learn how to communicate effectively, and we're not allowing the other person to lose face. It's a very Asian thing in Japan,
Mhm.
where you know you're you never want anybody to lose face, because if they do, they know that that person's going to be really pissed off, and if
Mhm.
they're pissed off, they're going to want revenge in some way,
Right.
whether it's being passive aggressive, saying, "Oh, Madison, have you been gaining weight? It
Right.
looks like you're kind of, and you're going, wow, where'd that come from?"
Right.
So, that's a they can't just come out and outright say, "Madison, you know what? When I'm told in that way to pick up my underwear or put the lid up or lid down on the toilet, I feel like I'm not doing something right, and I feel like I'm not good enough for you." And it hurts. And what I need is, and then I would go into, how I would need to be spoken to. So just adjusting, some tweaking our communication style can really alter our relationships
Yeah,
in a
definitely.
better way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's nice. Seems like a lot of people should read your book, I think.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
It's always a
Um,
good thing.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on humanity today, and in what areas do you think we are lacking as a human race?
Well, I think it's very obvious. If you just watch the news, I think we're lacking compassion, and because that's the basis of my book,
Hmm.
is if we can have compassion for one another, we'd actually understand where they're coming from, the pain and the hurt that they've experienced in their lifetime. And
Right.
if we can understand that, we wouldn't want to hurt them.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, with the news, the social media, cyberbullying, body shaming,
Right.
it's all about power. And that person that body shames somebody or cyberbullies somebody, that person feels powerless.
Right.
And it's probably because they were bullied, growing up or in school. So the only way they know how to feel more powerful is to bully somebody else.
Yeah.
And so if we actually looked at that person's history, their background, maybe even their upbringing, and saw that they were abused by their father, mother, emotionally, physically, whatever, we could actually feel for that person. We
Definitely.
wouldn't condone what they're doing, say cyberbullying, but we could understand why they're doing it, because they feel so small inside and that they need to feel powerful.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to be that person's friend, but
No.
at least I wouldn't be going online or going on social media and attacking that person.
Yeah.
So it's the state of our world, I guess, today.
Yeah.
So I think compassion is one of the answers, the keys, but to actually get to that place of compassion, we can't intellectualize it. We have to actually feel it. And the only way we're going to feel it is to get to know that person and to have that person share and open up. Now, if that person's not willing to share and open up, it's very, very difficult
Right.
to have compassion for that person.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's where a lot of this communication skill comes into play. Because if you know the skills, you can actually speak to that person in a way where they will want to open up and share their innermost thoughts and feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, very cool. So the last time we talked, we discussed that, although it is important to spread positivity and you know, be kind and stuff, negativity in the world does serve a purpose. So,
Yeah.
elaborate on that for me. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, net negativity in general, if you're aware on how it impacts you or me,
Hmm.
ourselves, um, we can then look within ourselves to see why. Why does somebody's criticism of me or my actions trigger me so much? Why do I get angry, when somebody criticizes me about, say the way I eat, the way I dance, the way I speak, whatever.
Yeah,
And instead of attacking that person and looking at that person as a jerk, as a bad person, I need to look within myself and see why, you know, I'm being triggered. And if I can, then I could probably see a lot of insecurities within myself.
right.
And it's these insecurities that I need to deal with. Because that person who is criticizing me, who's being negative toward me, that person's only being my teacher.
That's right.
And I should actually thank that person and
Right.
say, yeah, thank you for illuminating, my insecurities, my insufficiencies. And because what you've done is you've shown me that this is what I need to, uh, this is the area that I need to grow. Because that person, I'm not here to try to change that person.
Hmm.
And if that person continues to do things that are critical of me, and I know that really hurts me, I may need to break off that relationship and
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
And because that person has already illuminated what I need to work on myself, but that the part where I have to work on myself may take years and years and years.
That's right.
I may not resolve it overnight or in a month or in a year. It may take years. And
Yeah.
if that person continues to criticize me and it just keeps knocking me down, because ultimately what it does is it breaks down my self-esteem and my self-confidence. And then I feel really crappy about myself.
Right.
So I don't need friends like that in my life. So
Yeah.
personally, I've disconnected from many friends, who are very critical, who are judgmental, mean, or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
And that it's
yeah,
important. You gotta do that sometimes.
yeah.
So,
But you'll know where your areas in life that you need to work on because you'll just naturally attract these people who will just keep, you know,
right.
attacking you. And so if you notice, you wake up one morning and go, man, where are these people coming from? Why do they keep, attacking me like this? What's up? Well, what's up is that's what you have to work on.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I remember in my 20s,
Hmm.
I attracted a lot of alcoholics,
Yeah.
whether girlfriends or friends. And it's because, my parents were alcoholics.
Hmm.
So I needed to, really look at how that impacted my life. That created
Yeah.
a lot of fear as a child,
Hmm.
that, you know, uh, they were going to abandon me, that I wasn't good enough because they were too, you know, intoxicated to pay attention to me. So
Right.
that made me feel like I was worthless. I wasn't worth loving. I wasn't worth being around. And they were off being drunk.
Right.
So it brought up a lot of issues within me. So in my 20s, I attracted a lot of people like this so I could look at the root issues and
Right.
then deal with them.
Yeah,
So, so I guess the point is all this negativity in the world is just a mirror of our inner turmoil.
that's right.
So, as I think as I said before, like a person as our president, we created him. Our culture created him
Oh yeah.
because our culture is a very uh, narcissistic, selfish culture,
Right.
and we created a leader uh, like that
Right.
who's leading our country now. So he just represents a good mirror for us. Why am I so narcissistic? Why am I so self-centered? Why do I lack compassion for other people? Because I think he's a good figure to that exemplifies our lack of compassion
There you
for
go.
other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just uh, he's just a teacher
Yeah.
to show us our own flaws when it comes to these issues.
Very nice. Very nice. So tell me, what is love to you?
No, I knew you were going to ask that because you've asked that before.
That's right.
Uh, you know, I, you have to ask somebody why is that question, but I would just answer from my own personal experience
Okay.
uh, what it is, and I would say what love is is self-acceptance, and
Okay.
that is the hardest thing I've had to look at and do. And it's not like, I've got an issue with all the self-help gurus. Uh, it's a big industry in our country where an author writes a self-help book, um, that will, just say, just love yourself, and all your problems will go away. It's not that easy. It's easier said than done.
Very true.
And for me, it's taken decades to probably even scratch the surface of self-acceptance, self-love. And one, you have to become aware that you're not loving yourself. A lot of
That's right.
people don't even know that they're not loving themselves or they're not accepting themselves because they go into so many diversions, whether it's really harmful stuff like smoking, alcohol, becoming a workaholic, work outaholic. I know plenty of people who divert themselves by working out too much to the point
Yeah.
where their bodies physically break down. They can become loveaholics, where they're constantly going from one relationship to another. Uh, they travel too much, trying to run away from their problems, or they're so successful, they become highly successful in their work, but their kids hate them, their husband or
Yeah.
their wife hates them, they get divorced. So, it's you have to become aware, number one, that you're doing destructive things to yourself. And most people never realize that. So once you realize that, then you got to start to look internally to see how did these things start happening within me? How did I develop this self-hatred,
Right.
this lack of love in myself? And then from that point on, you got to start doing things that are more healthy. And so I think that's one. And then the other thing about love is once you start to love yourself, you'll understand that love is a transformative force. It's a transformative energy. Whether it's within yourself, you start to feel better. You start to do your passion work. You
Right.
start to not let other people abuse you, talk to you negatively, such as criticize you, judge you. You start to stand up for yourself in a healthy way.
Right.
And you'll notice your life will start shifting in a positive, healthier way
Yeah.
because you're not abusing yourself anymore. And then in your relationships, your spouse and yourself, you'll start to grow. And I
Hmm.
like to think that if you're in a really healthy relationship and if you really do are exchanging love, you'll both transform into healthier, stronger people.
Right.
And your bond will become tighter. Because I think I mentioned earlier, I have plenty of friends who aren't tight at all because they have no intimacy.
Right.
And, you know, I hope once I meet that right person, as we transform because of love, you know, our bond just becomes tighter and tighter.
Yeah,
So I hope that answers that question.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So, tell me, where can we read or purchase your book?
Well, right now it's only, you have to contact me directly.
Okay.
And if you go on fiercefirststep.com, you can contact me through my website.
Okay. Awesome.
All
Well, I
right.
think that's all the questions I have for you today. So I'm very thankful that I got to talk with you.
Yeah, same here, Madison. I think you're doing a great and wonderful service to people.
Thank you
So
so
keep it up.
much.
Yeah.